Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Crick Blog podcast. A lot to talk about today with plenty of news and action around the world at the moment. Charbel here from the Crick Blog podcast, Australia fan, along with co-host Nash, India fan. Nash, how's things?
Yeah, things are good. Things are good. Plenty of cricket to talk and plenty of cricket to watch as well. So looking forward to today's episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Big news that's came through yesterday in Australia that Will Pucovski has been forced to retire. It's sad news. It really is a case of what could have been with him. But really no surprise. I think he
Yep.
was told this about 3 months ago
Yep.
because, just a bit of background, his latest concussion in March, I think was his 12th or 13th concussion in total. And he's only 26 years of age. And he was still feeling symptoms 6 weeks plus after the incident happened. So no surprises, but really sad.
Yeah, I think it's just it is one of those rare cases where things
Mm,
don't turn out as you would have
no,
planned, as you would
that's
have
right.
hoped, as you would have expected. But
That's right.
he is an exceptional talent. We've all seen him bat only once in international cricket, but he scored a 50 and against India, and
Mm.
his
Yeah, he looked
domestic
good.
his domestic record has been phenomenal as well. So he was someone who was in line for that opening slot as soon as David Warner retired. But
Yes. Yes. I think it would have been
now
his.
I think this is the best option for him is to just hang up the
Yeah.
boots. And I,
Can't
I
go
hope
anymore.
he'll be around cricket. He's already doing some broadcasting for Big Bash and home
Yeah,
tests and stuff. So I hope he will be around cricket because he can talk, he has the talent, he has the knowledge. So definitely he'll be an asset to the game.
agree with you. Yeah, hopefully he stays involved in cricket. That'll be great for him. Yeah, just disappointing how it's turned out, but yeah, there was really no way you could keep going. Um, and the concerning thing was that the last few, there was one a few years ago. It wasn't a particularly hard hit on the helmet, but it
Yep.
knocked him around quite a bit. That's when you know that's quite a
Yeah.
concern. So, yeah, all the best to him, and I hope we see him involved. The 2,500 first class runs, average in the mid 40s. Yep, it's a couple
And
of
and
double centuries in a row in 2020.
absolutely. And for
Could have
people
been anything.
wondering, for people who are wondering, I think Cricket Victoria and Cricket Australia tried their utmost best from what we have seen in Australia. They've just given him
Yeah,
a
definitely.
long leash and just take your time, just make sure you're okay. It's been a long time coming, to be honest. Not only did they were he was told 3 months ago, but it's been a long time coming for almost a year and a half,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's had
and
mental health breaks over the years, and
exactly.
yeah, yeah, they've really, tried to take care of him, and they need to continue to do so. I think now, especially. But yeah, I think he'll stay involved in the game. I think he's a good commentator,
Yep.
and he'll
But
work with
all in
Channel
all,
Seven, hopefully.
look, all in all, he'll always have that baggy green in his
Yeah, he would.
shelf,
Yeah.
and he'll always be an Australian Test cricketer.
Yes, yes. Millions dream of that. So, yeah, all the best to him. Another big piece of news this week was Jay Shah being elected unopposed as ICC chairman. We spoke about this in our last episode that there was a very good chance he would be the next ICC chairman, but we thought it would go to an election later in the year. That's not the case. He's been elected unopposed. So I think 15 of the 16 board members at the ICC voted him in. So it's a real testament to him. But it's been a few different opinions going around. I think fans are torn. What
Well,
would your message be
well, the
yourself
thing
as an
is,
India fan, right? What would your message be to those fans who are torn and say he's only going to put India's interests first and RIP cricket? What would you say to them?
it's not fans, it's non-Indian fans. And that's
Yeah,
what's shameful. I'll ask you this instead of I'll answer your question, but I'll ask you this as a
yeah,
non-India fan. Can
yeah.
you actually tell me? And this goes to everyone out there who's writing articles and think of them as some moral journalists who are upholding a journalistic integrity or cricket integrity. Can you actually tell me list of 5 to 7 things that have gone wrong? And this is not to say the
Mm,
ICC Cricket World Cup or ticketing or something like that. Can you actually list the things that Jay Shah has done wrong in his time as an administrator at BCCI?
Mm.
And that's
Yeah,
my
that's a
question.
good
It's an
question, and
honest,
that was my
genuine question.
that would have been my question to people having the concerns as well. What is the concern you have? Is it because he's from the BCCI, and the BCCI, of course, is
That's
the richest
Look,
and the most powerful body?
I don't mean to put words in people's mouth, but that's 100% what it is. Because he's an
Mm.
Indian. That's it. I've seen,
Mm.
and this goes to everyone. I've seen the amount of hate and just pure racism that's portrayed on, especially X, twitter.com, against Indians.
Mm.
And it's just mind boggling. People, that app has gone to shits, but in cricket, particularly in the cricket community, the hatred
Mm.
portrayed towards Indians. And some of it does come from the fact that there are Indian fans out there who are, who are just pathetic, who are disgusting. I'm not discrediting that, but you have to remember, out of 1.4 billion people, there's only 1.9% of the population that uses that app. So the rest, literally, there's like 26
Yeah.
million Indians that use that app, and they don't speak for all Indians.
No.
And
Yeah.
coming back to the point of Jay Shah, I think what he has done positive, there's a lot of negative, and I'm not at all ignoring that, but what he has done positive for Indian cricket is also make some good decisions, to the fact that he
Mm.
put the importance back on domestic cricket for international players
Yes.
where he basically said, if you're not prioritizing domestic cricket, like domestic Ranji Trophy or List A game, sorry, you won't be considered for the Indian team. Then there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, where he long due, but he started the women's IPL. He advocated for women's and men's cricket getting the same pay
The
in
match fee.
India.
That's right. Yep.
Exactly. And then he also released a
I
lot
think
of
he's also played a
pension to
key
the
role in.
retired cricketers. And
Yep.
he's also played a key role in advocating for the test fund that we spoke about last week. So
That's right.
there are good things that have come out of it. And you are just putting the horse before the cart when you say
Mm.
negative things about what he might do as an ICC. And again, my point goes to the fact that, think of it as on a micro level, that if you're bringing $90 out of the $100 in your household, and this is not to do with your partner, but as housemates, let's say, for example, as six housemates, you're bringing $90 out of the $100 that get in.
Yep.
It's not fair that you only get $30 out of it,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I understand. Yeah, that's a good point. And that's the sort of argument that we see from a few there as well on social media, is the funds need to be distributed equally, or more equally than they are. But then you think about, well, one country's generating what, 80 to 90%, they're getting 38% of that revenue share back. And you said it well, that, well, they are giving up a fair amount already, and that revenue is going to other countries.
And let's not forget
Yeah,
how
it's a difficult situation.
BCCI has been helping someone like Afghanistan cricket. Afghanistan will
Yeah.
play a home series in India against New Zealand pretty
Mm.
soon. They've been helping Nepal cricket. They've helped Sri Lanka cricket before, and it's not about just handing out pure cash.
Yeah,
It's about what the countries do with that cash as well.
of course. Absolutely. And another thing is that the BCCI was key in ensuring that the cricket was at the next Olympic Games. I think Jay Shah was a supporter of that as well. He's come out and spoken about his love for Test cricket. One of his key quotes is, "We want to globalize the game of cricket." So my message is, right, my view is, let's judge the guy when he's in the role, not before, and say he's going to fail and ruin cricket before he's gone into the role, because he's been backed by a lot of people who know him.
Yep.
And also, he's done some good things, as you say.
Absolutely.
The advocate for the women's game and the long form cricket, globalizing the game, getting cricket into the Olympics. There are some things that didn't go quite well, and I think the organisation of the 2023 World Cup is one of them. I think that was poorly managed right across the board when you look at the ticketing and the schedule not being in place right up until like 2 months before the tournament or whatever it was. That wasn't great, but I think the positives outweigh the negatives in his time in the BCCI, and let's see how he goes at the ICC, and we'll judge him
Yep.
then.
Yep, absolutely.
That's my view.
And come on, let's be honest in when we say that, oh, he's just going to fail, like you rightly put. Let's at least let's wait for him to start the role. And I'm sitting here, I'll be the
Yes.
first to say that if he's done something negative, I'll be the first one to say that's a shit
So
decision,
would
or
I.
that's a wrong
So
decision.
would I.
But
Yeah.
he hasn't even started yet. And
Yes.
this is this, and it pains me to say it, but there are a few well-known journalists out there who have already started writing articles. And
Yeah, I've seen those.
I've seen one particular journalist who did not post the article, but his colleague did. And then when
Yes.
people started commenting, the colleague was like, "Oh, go speak to the journalist who wrote it." I'm like, "You definitely know what you're doing," and
Yeah,
it's just putting out this agenda and narrative that, oh, it's just going to go downhill. But cricket will always survive. The sport will always survive. The sport is bigger than anyone, and it will always survive.
Yeah, and I think there's been some concern around will IPL dominate the calendar even more, and even from Pakistan's perspective, what's that going to mean for them in the Champions Trophy? I don't think India would have travelled to Pakistan anyway. I think India would have played their games outside of Pakistan in the Champions Trophy, whether Jay Shah is the chairman or not. Like it was in the Asia Cup of 2023, India played their games in Sri Lanka. It was never going to happen, regardless. I don't think that's just my view.
That's whole another topic. I have many thoughts on that.
I know. Yes.
There's people just don't understand that there's a massive difference between Indian players, Indian people, Indian team traveling, like Virat Kohli traveling to Pakistan, as opposed to a New Zealand team or even an Australian team traveling to Pakistan. There's a massive difference.
Unfortunately, that is the fact. There is the difference there. I agree with you. Unfortunately, that's the reality. We don't like it, but that's just the reality of it. You know, people don't like it, but unfortunately, it is what it is. So we'll see what happens. Jay Shah will start the role, I think, towards the back end of this year. Yeah, as I said, we will judge and we'll talk about it when he's in the role. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Pakistan, what's going on with them? I mean, when you look at their cricket, gosh, another low last week, losing a test match like that against Bangladesh. Where do we begin, Nash? What's going on? What's going on with them? I mean, the lost to the USA earlier this year out of the World Cup in the group stage, and I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot going
on.
Where
do we start?
Where do we start? There's a lot going on. Don't get me wrong.
When we talk about what's going on with Pakistan, I don't know where to start.
I mean, there's a lot of politics, and there's a lot of bias at play, finger pointing, bias at play when we talk about from the captaincy. You know, Babar Azam was the captain, then he was removed as white ball captain, then he was back again as white ball captain. There's been changes in the CEO, in the chairman, selectors. There's
been 5 changes in the chairman since 2022, December of 2022.
Absolutely.
5 chairmen have come and gone in that time. That's the coaches as well, on top of that.
That's kind of like England and Australia changing prime ministers.
Oh God. Yeah, pretty much.
But remember there was a time when Australia just changed prime ministers like for fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember those times.
But anyway, back to cricket. It's Babar Azam. His own form has been absolutely disgusting, and he hasn't scored a single 50 in the last 12 innings, and
not good enough from a senior player. No.
The fact is, there's been a lot of expectations on this Pakistan team, you know, put on by not only themselves but the Pakistan fans and the world community when it comes to performing. But they have just they are not there. They are not at that standard where they'll take on those expectations and perform accordingly, because you need to have the talent, you need to have the domestic structure to push that talent upwards and prepare the youngsters for that international level. Countries like India, Australia, that's what they do best, is that they have a strong domestic structure where
Mm.
someone like a Will Pukowski, someone like a newbie like a Todd Murphy, or someone like Ishan Kishan, someone like Shubman Gill, when they reach Indian team, they've already got so much experience and so much mental strength that
Mm.
they don't feel necessarily out of place when they play international cricket.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But one thing I will say though is that I don't think they're actually short of talent because they got guys that come into international cricket and make such a great impression and set the world on fire early. But the big issue for me is those players stagnate. They
Mm.
don't get better. They actually start to go backwards. I've seen that a lot with Pakistan cricket the last decade, 15 years. I think of Umar Akmal. I think of Shaheen Shah Afridi, for me, is the latest example of that. He's nowhere near the bowler he was 3 years ago. He's down on pace. He's down on effectiveness. I think for me, he's another example. Now, can he rediscover that form? He's got it in him, but whether he will, I don't know. For me, there's an issue with players stagnating. They're not developing. They're not improving. As Shadab Khan is another example. He was touted as one of the real aspiring
Yep.
quality all-rounders in world
Yep.
cricket.
Yep.
He's gone off the map. There's a lot of those sort of instances where the talent is there, but they go backwards. Fakhar Zaman is another one. You know, I can name a number of names. Why is that happening? And you can keep changing your chairman and you can keep doing what you want and you can keep bringing in new coaches and trying to get a quick dopamine fix. But unless you've got something stable in place where you know your domestic structures and also the pitches that the players play on, what kind of pitches they play on in Pakistan? The kind we see in Test cricket, flat roads. They haven't
Yep.
won in 3 years at home. What's going on there? These are the questions they've got to ask. Get something stable in, and try, develop some consistency in their cricket and produce cricketers who can continue to evolve and develop rather than go the other way. That's a
Absolutely.
big problem.
And good work from Bangladesh winning that first test.
100%. Yeah, we don't want to take credit away from Bangladesh. I know we're talking about Pakistan here, but that was a great win. One of their
Yeah.
best from that
After
position.
after taking the lead to dismiss Pakistan for under 150, that was brilliant bowling
It
display,
was
and
quality.
they won by 10 wickets. That did a lot of that had a lot of positive impact for them on the World Test Championship table as well, and that sort of pushed them up. I think they're in fifth or sixth spot now after that test. So it's going to be really interesting to see if what happens in the second test, because there's supposed to be some rain around, and if
I think today
Pakistan,
there's quite a bit of rain around what I'm hearing. Yeah.
if Pakistan don't get that win, or if Bangladesh again win and go away with a series win, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, look, Pakistan from here have got to probably win every game to give themselves a chance of making the final. That would be the most remarkable thing I can remember in cricket if that happens, because they've got to go. They've got England at home next 3 games. They've got South Africa away. I think they've got West Indies at home as well, but that's not a given. I'm not. Nothing's a given, but I'm really happy for Bangladesh. I thought they really applied themselves in that game. The challenge is going to be doing that for a second game in a row. But I thought Mushfiqur Rahim, when Bangladesh score big, he's usually at the heart of it.
Yep.
He's so good. And I thought Mehdi Hassan showed the kind of all-round performance he's very capable of. He could have that sort of similar impact that Shakib's had over the years, where he can perform with bat and ball. And they really made a mockery of Pakistan's decision not to play a specialist spinner. On that pitch, going in with 4 fast bowlers and an all-rounder off spinner, yeah, it makes no sense. Tactically as well, that was, I don't know what to say. You got done by the ball turning on the 5th day when you didn't pick a spinner. I don't know, not many can write that sort of script.
Yeah, I mean, it was just funny to watch. I mean, we were sitting there and I was watching and I was like, what's happening? I mean, like you said, not going with the spinner, a part-time spinner, and 4 fast
completely
bowlers.
misreading the conditions totally.
Yeah, and Look, to be honest, Bangladesh had a great game, and I
They did.
think if they can keep up the momentum in the second one, this could be a really interesting series.
Yeah, maybe. But the thing is with Bangladesh, when they get a real big win, they often follow it up with a poor performance. I've seen that a few times the last few years. I think, they beat New Zealand in New Zealand a couple of years ago, then they got hammered.
Yep.
I think they beat New Zealand at home last year, then they lost the second test. So it's about backing it up. That's going to be the big challenge. But they've got some confidence, and
Yep.
Pakistan are on the mat at the moment, so there's a great opportunity. Hopefully the weather holds because that's one I want to keep an eye on. Very interesting game, really is.
Well,
So yeah, we'll keep an eye
um,
on that.
in other news, Joe Root scored 33rd
Mm,
Test 100 and equaled Alistair Cook's record. So
yes.
I mean, that's Joe Root for you, isn't it? Classic,
Mm,
elegant Test batter. He played some interesting shots yesterday as well, but he he he's back in his own mold, and the Joe Root that we know, 143 from 206 balls. So Bazball wasn't there, safe to say, but
yeah.
interestingly, England ended up with 358 for seven, or seven for 358, as Australians like to say. But
Yes.
with Gus Atkinson as well at the down the order, scoring a crucial 74. So going to be really interesting because Sri Lanka think that Lords is like an home away from home for them. They've performed very well in the
Yep.
past on the past tours here. So going to be really interesting to see how Sri Lankan batting shapes up.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing because I expect batting conditions to be pretty good today. So yeah, but that's classic Joe Root, isn't it? He scores so many deliveries off good balls. That's what makes him so good. You can bowl a pretty good ball to him, but he'll find ways to score off it, find
Yep.
gaps, and keep the scoreboard ticking, and all class. And England were in a bit of trouble from their own doing, some poor shots in that first session, but he steadied the ship and played beautifully. And then Atkinson there at the end, 358. They can get more. They can get towards 400, 400 plus, and that puts the pressure on Sri Lanka. Bit of debate at the moment. I'm going to ask you a question. Joe Root versus Sachin Tendulkar. Do you think, if you had to predict, let's predict now. What are we now? 30th of August 2024. When Joe Root finishes his career, do you think he'll finish his career past Sachin Tendulkar or he'll fall short? What
How
do you
old?
think?
Joe Root's 33.
He's 33. I think he's 3,600 runs behind Tendulkar at this stage.
So that's what, if Joe Root keeps up his COVID form from back from 2020, 21,
Mm,
that will take what, another 2 years?
maybe
Two and a
three,
half,
3 years.
3 years, 1,000 runs a year.
Very possible.
It's possible. It's very, very possible. But I'm calling no.
Mm,
I'm calling no. My heart's saying no.
mm. I'm
What do
going
you
to say
think?
yes.
What do you
I'm going to
think?
go yes. I'm going to go he's going to do it. 33. They play a lot of games, England. What do they play? 10, 12 games a year,
Yep.
thereabouts. He can knock off 1,000 plus. He's got Pakistan away next. And if they're flat pitches over there, he's going to hit a ton of runs over there.
Yep. That'll be some insane
Um,
stats because he's played 145 matches. Sachin
mm,
has 200. So what? He has 55 test matches to go to score 3,500 runs. That's some,
yep.
yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see how
It will be very
that he
interesting.
has to be really consistent as well.
I think he has
Plus,
to be. A
plus you
lot's got
have
to go
to
right.
plus you have to count that he plays 5 test matches against India in England. With that Indian bowling attack, it could be really interesting.
And then soon after that, he's got Australia in Australia.
Exactly. So
So
those
that's a good point as well.
10 test matches, if even if he comes out of
True.
those 10 test matches with, like, let's say 600 runs,
Mm.
I
That would be
mean,
pretty bad if you get 600 runs at those. England
well,
won't win many if that's 600 from
yeah,
Root.
I
Let's
don't
just
want to
say.
say, 1,000 runs. That would be really that'd be really bad for India and Australia. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yep. So he's got to score really big in Australia, which he hasn't done before. Like he's made 50s here, but he hasn't gone 100 plus here in Australia. And then of course the India attack's very good. But if the pitches are really good for batting, he can score well against India.
we have
If the
Bumrah.
pitches are good for batting.
Nah, we
But
have
Bumrah's
Bumrah.
quality, of course.
We have Bumrah.
But if the pitch is very good for batting, then Root's in the game, no doubt. So,
Nah, we have
oh,
Bumrah. Bumrah to Root, second slip. Virat Kohli catching at
let's
second
see.
slip all day.
That's probably they might look to target him in that region, India. He likes to dab the border, third
Yep.
man, and that's where he can
I
maybe
can
pack the
I can
cordon.
already
And
visualize that coming. Yeah.
well, you hope for it from an Indian perspective. But will I predict he's going to do it? Maybe I'll just say yes. Let's say yes. Make it interesting. Yeah, I think
Let's
he's
see.
got quite a few years ahead of him.
Yep.
They play a lot of cricket. Yeah, 3,600 runs. Yeah, I think he'll do it.
Cool.
We'll see. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to the latest episode of the podcast. You can follow us on @CrickBlogPod on Instagram and X, and subscribe to CrickBlog TV on YouTube, where we post the full episodes here, as well as some reels across the channels. Do engage with us. Let us know if there's any topics in mind you'd like for us to talk about. We've spoken about the future of cricket in recent weeks. Jay Shah as ICC chairman, among other things as well. So let us know what you'd like to hear, and have a good one. Thanks, everyone.